there, friends, foes, and all other crows. I'm Talish, and I used to be obsessed with the Roman Empire when I was like 12 or so. So I had an idea. I'd take everything I could remember about the Roman Empire off the top of my head and make a video about it. And then I'll Wikipedia what I got wrong. In the intro, I wasn't 100% truthful. I have a tendency to stutter and use filler words and all of that kind of stuff. It makes content creation like this a little bit difficult. So instead, I took everything I could remember and made it into a script, just so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to understand me and hear what I'm saying. The beginning of an empire. The Roman Empire was started as a boat full of people from some kingdom. They made a city, but the Romans had no women on the ship, so the Romans had to find brides some other way. They invited a neighboring city to a feast and killed the men and kidnapped the women. In the early years, they were ruled by kings until one day a king who was a tyrant, banged a general's wife. The general staged a coup, and that's how we got the Senate, because the Roman people didn't want kings anymore, no tyrants. How ironic. The Senate. The Senate works as a governing class of Rome's hierarchy. There were originally like 500, I think, and the people descended from those 500s were called the Praetor.
Hello, Editing Polish here. I wanted to come back and talk about this because I didn't really talk about it in the correction part of the video, but in this moment I am confusing the patricians, the ruling class, with the Praetorian prefects and Praetorian guards, which were the highest status in the Roman army and were tasked with originally defending the Senate, but then when emperors got involved, they became in charge of protecting the emperor. And that's why I kept trying to say Praetorians instead of patricians. I don't remember how to say that. Everyone else were plebes. Plebeians could only become Praetorians by marrying into the family, but that was illegal for a while. After a while, the Senate passed a law that only Praetorians were allowed to become senators. Senators were given land to govern using laws that the Senate created. If war was called, the Senate would give their power over to a dictator who would rule Rome until the threat was over. The third triumvirate. Don't ask me about the first triumvirate or the second triumvirate, but the third triumvirate was three politicians: Julius Caesar, Pompey Articuli, and someone I can't remember, consolidating their power. See, most senators disliked each other, and bickered a lot. So when three senators came along and worked peacefully together, they had quite a lot of power. And they basically ruled the empire until the third guy died in battle, and Pompey and Caesar made a civil war against each other. Pompey got killed in Egypt. Caesar had a hot new girl who told him he could have sway over he could not give back the power to the Senate. When the war was over, Caesar took her advice. The Senate got mad that he wasn't giving them back the power. Then a bunch of the senators killed him, and his two sons-in-law went to war against the people who killed their father in another civil war. More killing. Caesar became an emperor. That was when he took power. And few emperors go by, and Nero. Nero's dad was assassinated, and the 14-year-old is set to rule.
the mom is controlling the empire because he was 14 and obviously he would not rule, and then he got mad at that and had his mom assassinated, and yay, now there's a 17-year-old ruling the largest empire. What did he do? Rig arena fights that he participated in. Wow! Then he gets assassinated too. Could have guessed. I think he got assassinated, actually I think the assassins, were there and he decided to kill himself before the assassins could kill him. And that, my friends, is what I remember of the Roman Empire. And here's a list of things that I got wrong in that last little blurb. The Roman Empire started as a boat full of people from some kingdom. No, Rome did not start as a boat expedition. According to legend, Rome was founded in 753 BC by Romulus and Remus. Oh, the stories of the brothers. I forgot about that. The story involves Trojan refugees, but Rome itself was not founded by a boat full of people. Also, Rome began as a kingdom, not an empire. They invited a neighboring city to a feast and killed the men while kidnapping the women. This refers to the abduction of the Sabaean women. The Romans abducted the women of the neighboring Sabaeans during a festival. They did not massacre the men at the feast. Later, the Sabaeans went to war with Rome, and the abducted women famously intervened to stop the fighting. One king was a tyrant who banged a general's wife. The king was Lucius Tarquinius Severus. He did not assault the wife. His son, Sextus Tanquilus, assaulted someone's wife, and it sparked public outrage. The general staged a coup. The leader of the revolt was Lucius Junius Brutus. He was not the husband of Lucietta, he was her husband. Her husband was Corneatus. And Brutus helped overthrow the monarchy in 509 BCE. He made the Senate rule Rome. The Senate already existed under the kings as an advisory council, and the monarchy was replaced with the Roman Republic, governed by elected magistrates. Hello, this is Editing Talish again. I am going to stop putting in the Wikipedia pages because editing in the Wikipedia pages has already taken 4 hours off my life, and I looked back and there are like 5 of them in. So I'm just gonna not. If this bothers you, feel free to become my editor. I don't have a way to pay an editor, so if you want to volunteer for that role, I guess sure, but otherwise, thank you for your consideration of my mental health. Especially to consuls, with the Senate as a powerful advisory body. Originally 500 senators, no! Early Rome had about 100 senators, later expanded to 300. 500 plus came much later, especially under Julius Caesar. People descended from those 500 were called praetorians. Praetorians were a hereditary aristocratic families, but not simply descendants of the original senators. The number was never fixed at 500 families. Plebeians could only become praetorians by marrying into the family. False. Praetorian status was hereditary and generally could not be acquired. Intermarriage between Praetorians and plebeians was banned until the Lex Canada in 445 BCE. Only Praetorians could become senators. Early on, political offices were dominated by Praetorians. Over time, plebeians gained access to high office, conflict of the orders. By the late Republic, plebeians could absolutely become senators. Senators were given land to govern. Senators did not receive land to govern like feudal lords. Provinces were governed by elected magistrates, consuls, or praetors after their term. The Senate would give all their power to a dictator. A dictator was appointed by a consul, not directly by the Senate. The dictatorship was limited to 6 months. This was a Republican emergency office, very different from later emperors. There was no third triumvirate. There were only two. First triumvirate, 60 BCE, Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. That's who I couldn't remember. Oh, that was the first triumvirate. The second triumvirate in 43 BCE with Octavian, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. Octavian and Mark Antony are Julius Caesar's adopted sons. Pompey Articuli likely meant Pompey, which is Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus. The third guy died in battle. The first triumvirate, Crassus, died fighting the Parthians in the Battle of Carthae, 53 BCE. That disbanded the alliance. I knew that's how the alliance disbanded. Okay. Pompey was killed in Egypt. However, it was done by Egyptians officials hoping to gain favor with Caesar. Caesar got a hot new girl who told him not to give power back. This refers to Cleopatra. Yes, there's no evidence that she persuaded him to keep power. Oh, well, Caesar was already consolidating power before meeting her. Oh well, everyone's consolidating power. It's Rome. After a few years, the Senate killed him. Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE by a group of senators led by Brutus and Cassius. Then his son killed those in the Senate. Caesar had no legitimate biological sons. I know! That's... okay. He adopted Octavian, later Augustus. The assassins were defeated by forces of Octavian and Mark Antony. The sons naturally went to war with each other. Yes, Octavian and Mark Antony eventually fought. The final conflict ended at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Nero. Nero's dad was not assassinated. Ooh. Shocker. Nero's father died when he was young, but not in a dramatic imperial assassination tied to Nero's rise. Nero became emperor because his mother married an Emperor Claudius, 14-year-old set to rule. Nero became emperor at 16, not 14. Oh, big difference. He rigged arena fights he participated in. Nero did perform publicly, singing, acting, chariot racing. There is no strong evidence he regularly fought in gladiator matches. Nero committed suicide in 68 CE. He was not assassinated. Then it's the year of 4 emperors. Oh, right, that was in the script, but I forgot to say it. I said something about, then it's the year of 4 emperors, and that's what I know about Rome. Correct, after Nero's death came a civil war, where in 1 year they had 4 different emperors. Anyway, big structural inaccuracy. I repeatedly call Rome the Empire. Rome was a kingdom from 753 to 509 BCE. It became the Republic in 509 to 27 BCE, or I think 27 BCE, and then it was an empire from 27 BCE onwards, starting with Augustus. Wow. So, this has been fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.